Welcome to Single Leg Parlays College Week 8 review. We got a lot to go over, a lot of great games this weekend. We were right a lot, we were wrong a whole lot, and we're going to cover the whole landscape. But before we do anything, got Danny above me, Andy to the side, Al caddy corner. Here's beer. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Ooh. So overall, we had a decent week. We basically took our money, handed it to the dealer. The dealer handed us our money back and said, have a good day. All picks collectively were 36 and 33, puts us at 52.17%. As far as some outstanding performers this week, Danny taking the title, 9 and 6, hitting at 60%. Yeah, he is. There he is. 52 and 46 for the season, puts him at 53.06%. I was in second at 7 and 5. Winning percentage of 58.3 for the week, and I'm at 55 overall. Andy and Al were one game under 500. Hey, what are you going to do? You had a little bit of fun. You lost a couple shekels, and you move on. So 36 and 33, not a bad week. A lot to unpack here. We're going to go through some additional content at the end, but let's get started into our awards. If you're not familiar, we like to give awards out for the most impressive, most suspect, boy was I wrong, and then a special award from the inside of our hearts. So we want to talk about the most impressive team of the week, and I'm going to start with Al here because he's probably stealing Andy's.
Yeah, Illinois. I wasn't able to watch this game, but just seeing that they held Michigan to 7 points, which that part's not super impressive, but hanging 21 and just seemed like a game where it was never really in doubt which team was better. I don't know. Is that better? More whatever the opposite of impressive is about Michigan, or is it more impressive that Illinois is this good?
I think this said more about Michigan than Illinois, honestly. Illinois was solid. They weren't impressive. They weren't flashy. They just didn't make mistakes, and Michigan did. But I love it. I'm all here for celebrating Illinois while we can. But
oh yeah,
thank you.
I think Michigan looked super bad, and it looked like they had no fight left in them. That offense, holy crap, it's terrible. Their defense is fine, and Illinois all around looked like the better football team. Like, this is not an upset. This is not a shock. They went out and played better football. So kudos, Andy. You're bowl eligible, baby. It's October 21st, and you are bowl eligible. How does it feel?
I don't know if this has ever happened before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. Andy, I'm going to let you have the floor here with most impressive.
Yeah, I couldn't decide, so I'm going to kind of cheat and go with two. I thought Georgia was super impressive going into Austin and beating the pants off of Texas. Texas had looked really good in every game up until then. I don't think they had any that were even close. Now, in retrospect, you go back and look, they haven't really played anybody either until they played Georgia. But, still, Texas had looked like they were back, and they did not look like they were back. That said, there's really no shame in losing to Georgia. So, but I thought Georgia was very impressive.
What is it? What is it? The requirements for being a somebody when you beat them? Like, Texas beat the pants off of Oklahoma. I mean, they beat
down year
Mississippi State, I guess. They beat
down year.
They beat Michigan
down
at
year
the big house.
Well, these were all at the big house.
Saying, they could be down years, but those are still teams that you have to. I mean, if this were an ACC, they would all be 500. This is the SEC. The bad teams know they're supposed to lose and win.
That's true. And then my other one was Indiana. Indiana beat the pants off of Nebraska. That one was never a game. I don't like watching Indiana be this good, but I did get some joy out of watching Nebraska lose that bad. That was fun.
It was crazy. Kurt Signetti must be a really good coach. Like, I know I kind of made jokes about this before because who the fuck's Kurt Signetti? But goddamn, dude, he was at James Madison last year, right? Do I have that right? And James Madison was a darling, and he's just a legitimately good coach. That team under Tom Allen was like fine.
I'm
Like they
with
were
him.
4-8 forever. But this turnaround is remarkable. Like, but they lost their quarterback. Did you see this? Their starting
No.
quarterback, Curtis Rourke, I think broke his finger and he's out indefinitely today. So maybe interesting for betting purposes.
For sure.
Danny, who impressed you the most this week?
Army and Navy. These two
Mhm.
teams can really put up some points. They can score. It wasn't that they had incredible opponents, but just they're both undefeated, and we're like week 7 through week 7, and Army and Navy are both undefeated. It's nuts.
It's the best. And they're going out there and not doing the honorable thing of just like kind of kneeing out the ball. They're going out there to kill you. Like, I guess that makes sense. But they're going out there to dominate you on the football field and like leave no wake, right? It's impressive.
So I haven't heard a lot about Army and Navy recruiting news, but is the U.S. military's unlimited budget being used on NIL?
Yeah, Raytheon's got that NIL bill. They're sliding checks through the door. It'd be a hell of a way to recruit people to the military, right? You always see that
Delivering by
when you have a good football
drone, Matt.
season. When you have a good football season, like enrollment numbers go up. Maybe they are investing in that, trying to build a military force for the future. I don't know. That seems
they
like a
spend
crazy
millions
thing
of
to say.
dollars. They spend millions of dollars every season to like have a partnership with the NFL. So
Yeah, they do. They're doing their recruiting.
Flyovers, baby.
So I want to talk about the state of Florida because I was impressed by the state of Florida this weekend, except for one team that really sucked balls. Miami.
You know,
Go ahead.
sorry, I'm gonna cut you off at the head, Matt. Just to make a bad joke. I'm pretty sure that UF and Miami sent the Monstars into Tallahassee to suck up all the QB talent.
Yeah,
That's
there's no one
You
left.
you may now make the same joke, only better.
No, I don't have a joke. I'm just gonna spit facts.
He's just too
Miami-
sad.
No,
It's too sad
there's
to
no
make
joy
jokes.
left. There's no joy left. Miami looked really good on offense, and they faced a good Louisville team that kind of fucked around and did some things, and they had to keep scoring in order to keep that game in control. And they did it. Cam Ward is probably the best player in the country, and he looked every bit of the part with his 6 touchdowns. So kudos. But really, University of Florida, look, I thought Napier was a dead man walking into today. I thought he was getting fired. I think I said that originally on the podcast.
Yeah, it was today.
Yeah, so he went out there and put a hurting on a Kentucky team that has been trouble in the past, especially against Florida with DJ Lagway. But they're 4-3. Like, they're not playing bad football at all. I've been impressed with the turnaround. I think they're playing really, really well. Even UCF kind of fucked around and made a game out of on the road at Ames, Iowa. State of Florida looked good this weekend, except for one team. Really, really sucked. But the rest of them look great. So kudos, State of Florida, except for that one team. You guys did it.
I know you don't want to hear
did
it, but there's literally 3 plays in a row that if you take those away,
Yeah,
the entire
win.
game is different, right? Like,
if we had just knelt the ball on every offensive play, we won that game 7-6. That's it. We had a kick return for a touchdown, and that's it. We didn't give up anything except for 2 field goals from a field position standpoint.
Yeah. You know, like when you're watching a game sometimes and the team is trailing and it's like 4th and 28 and there's a minute and a half left and you still think the better move, the move that gives them the better win probability is punting in the hopes that they get like recovery versus actually like moving the chains. That's kind of like what FSU is like.
The math was crazy. The defense played extraordinarily well. I think they gave up like 180 yards of offense. And one of them was like a 50-yard run for a touchdown. Well, no, 40-yard run for a touchdown after one of the fumble picks. But it doesn't matter. I wish that Waffle House guy that was on the sideline was our offensive coordinator. It could not be worse. Alex Atkins, a lot of eyeballs on you, buddy. Let's do the Kaiser Soze Suspect Awards. Danny, why don't you start us off?
I gotta go with Miami defense. This has been several weeks in a row now where we're just giving up way too many points. Way too many points. 45 points to
Yeah, they're
Louisville.
not good.
I mean, Bain is good, but he's not really doing. I mean, he's getting like a sack a game when he's playing, but he was hurt for a while, and now he's just
It'd
not
be cool
making
if
the
the sport was
impact.
boxing, but it's a 11 player. Like 11 guys play defense, not one. One guy can very easily be game planned around.
I hear you.
Yeah, the pass
I feel like
defense
the linebacker play has been inconsistent. There's been bright spots and there's been, dark days. And the secondary, you never know what you're getting back there. And Miami is always giving up too much on the ground for my liking. So that makes it so much harder as a defense to be able to take away one half of an offense's playbook. It's going to be, and we get bounced in the playoffs, is assuming we get there.
We can't stop the run. Yeah,
team is going to consistently score, and our offense is not efficient. Like, our offense can score at will, but they are also like, hey, let's stick around for 3 possessions in a row, and then you do that against a team that also just scores every drive, and you don't get a possession to make up. So I see the ending, and I don't like it, but it'll be fun getting there.
It's been a fun season, so that's not what I'm worried about. I'm just saying that they've been suspect, and I'm calling them out as the Kaiser Soze.
You should. The pass defense looks rough. The rush defense looks rough. Hey, at least you got an offense. It's kind of fun to score 50 points, but you can't be giving up 30 burgers to Cal.
Super fun.
I was in lines at Disney World watching, and I was just telling Missy, touchdown. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But you can't be giving up 30s to Cal. That's like a no-no. Like Virginia Tech, yeah, okay. Louisville's good. They're a good offensive team, so that I'm not surprised about. But
still 45, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. It's too many. I agree. But you scored 52. Maybe you guys are getting ready to join the Big 12. And I guess the Big 12 has changed too, but you want to carry that identity of no defense and just like a pass-happy offense.
I love it. Let's do it.
Andy, who disappointed you the most? Oh, who was most suspect?
Most suspect was Oklahoma.
Oh,
they looked bad.
Stink.
I think I read that Venables fired the defensive coordinator this week, and they needed to because they gave up 32 first half points to South Carolina. 35-9 sounds bad, but it was already 32-3 at halftime. They totally took their foot off the gas. South Carolina did in the second half and still won 35-9.
South Carolina is the okayest team in the country too. They're as okay as you can get. They're fine. They're okay.
Exactly.
They're the kings of okayest. You saw Jackson Arnold got called back in. Jackson Arnold, so the whole saga with the quarterback thing is he had played 3 games and he didn't want to burn his red shirt because he's clearly going to be gone. But they asked him to come back in. The guy was like, okay, I guess I will. I was like, man, kudos to you for being a decent human being because he could have been like, fuck y'all. He's like, I want that extra year and I want to go transfer out. But he did the honorable thing. It was the dumb thing, but it was honorable nonetheless. Yeah, that Oklahoma team stinks. Not good. Al, who were you disappointed in?
They won, but Iowa State, they're very suspect to me. There's a lot of teams that are suspect to me in the top 25. I don't understand. They don't belong. You can't sit with us. I don't get it. I don't understand why Iowa State is not like the rest. They stand out like a sore thumb. I'm not on board. They confuse me.
Yeah, they're not. They are an interesting team. They have a good quarterback. Matt Campbell's a good coach too. He gets the most out of a roster that is meh at best. Okayest would be a stretch for that roster quality, but he can do some things. So I'm with you.
Does the state of Iowa have enough people to field 2 competitive football teams?
Right.
I got nothing funny even to say. You're right. You're
Well,
right.
they've got lots of big corn-fed boys to put on the lines. That's
Like, why
That made
isn't there like
sense for
a
a deeper
Nebraska
team.
state? There needs to be a Nebraska state.
It does. My most suspect team is the Iowa Hawkeyes. Staying in the state of Iowa. What the actual fuck? You are supposed to be good at defense and punting, and you are bad at both. You can't be bad at both of those things and have Cade McNamara throwing the ball. He sucks. Like, books out on him. Bad. Not good. Aiden Childs may be a really good quarterback one day, right? He's like 17 or 18, has a spectacular arm for certain throws, but he does all the dumb stuff. And you made him look great. 70% completion percentage, 9 yards an attempt. You cannot do that. You're Iowa. You're supposed to make things miserable. Maybe I'm bitter because I took the Michigan State team total under. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. But I thought this was gonna be the easiest win of all time. And to go out and lose the damn game to Michigan fucking State in a rebuild year, come on, man. You're better than that. That's all. That's all I got on that. I don't know if you guys want to talk about Iowa, but big disappointed in them. Okay, let me tell you where else we were wrong. Where were we most wrong this week? Andy, where were you wrong?
So I took the under in a service academy game, not two service academies playing each other, obviously, or we would have talked about that a lot already, but Charlotte and Navy, right? Charlotte's not going to put up a lot of points. Navy never puts up points. No, the total was 57, and they had 48 in the first half. It was never close. They scored 0 points in the fourth quarter. Neither team scored in the fourth quarter, and this game still flew over. I was very, very wrong that there would.
Navy had almost all of those points in the first half too.
They did, yeah. Navy was a wagon.
51 points from a service academy. That is terrifying. Horvath was 7 for 13, 117 yards passing, and 3 touchdowns. I'll be damned the last time there's been 3 touchdowns thrown from a service academy. I want to look this up in the off. But yeah, that's a bad bet. Danny, where were you wrong?
Oh, the OU game. That was they get field goals and they couldn't do anything on offense against South Carolina. Yeah, that was awful.
Yeah, they
points
just missed the mark in their 9-point spread. They were laying 9 and they lost by 26.
Yeah,
something like that.
close.
Yeah.
Almost had it. Just
All
a
right.
bit outside.
Al, I'm going to jump in front of you here. I was wrong about Florida State. I felt super confident that this was a money line play. At least we would cover the 3, right? We kept them to 180 yards. We had 291 yards of offense. We were better in every capacity except for 3 plays like Andy referred to, and those 3 plays became 17 points, and that was the ball game from there. That team sucks. There is nothing good. They have not had 300 yards of offense in one single game this year, which is almost fucking impossible. The offense is terrible. The line stinks. They're all seniors and they stink. Fucking terrible team.
That's crazy.
But that's where I was wrong. Defense is good. Defense plays, does some things, bounces around, does a couple things, but bad.
So maybe silver lining, you were half right? The defense showed up. The defense did what you expected. It was the offense throwing or turning the ball over 3 consecutive plays that really sank this one in their own end. Yeah. When you hand your opponent more points than you typically score in a game, it's tough to cover. So FSU was my big whoopsie too.
I think it's really important to note that last year we made a lot of Iowa trying to get to 325 points. We made a big old joke about that. Florida State has not scored more than 21 points in a single game this year. They're not even close to 325. So I just want to make sure we put this all in context. I made a lot of jokes at Iowa. Florida State, you're worse.
Bad.
Your offense is worse because at least they can run the ball. Anyways.
That is so bad.
It is terrible. It is a terrible viewing experience that I do every week. Let's go to our special awards. So we like to give out a special award to really commemorate something that happened that was really impressive or moved us in a certain way. I'm going to start off with Al because I don't know what this is, and I want to find out more.
Yeah. So if you guys are unaware, Grayson McCall took a really big hit 2 weeks ago. Was like knocked out on the field. So he was out for this game, and in stepped the backup quarterback CJ Bailey for NC State. And I believe they were like 10-point dogs against Cal, and he led a little comeback victory here to beat Cal by a point on the road in his first start at NC State, and he won the Jay Bailey. Props. That's a impressive little debut.
25 of 36 for
And,
306.
it only cost me 1 unit.
That's a pretty damn good performance for a rookie. Yeah, kudos. Andy, what's your special award?
Yeah, my special award is third time's not the charm. Michigan rolled out their third starting quarterback of the season, Jack Tuttle, and he was supposed to be the starter in camp, but he got hurt. So they had to roll out 2 other guys, David Warren and Alex Orji. Never forget Orji. And but
I like
Tuttle
Tuttle.
was finally healthy. The other 2 were bad.
I like Tuttle.
I forgot about that meme. And people were saying like, oh, maybe, he had kind of brought a spark in the second half of their last game. And he was bad. He was really bad. I have been paying a lot of attention to Big Ten football for a long time. I cannot think of a time ever where Illinois' quarterback was better than all 3 quarterbacks on Michigan's roster. So third time's not the charm.
So much better.
Quarterbacks. Yeah.
So much better. Like, Altmaier is incredibly better. This Michigan team with Altmaier would be a good team. They are a bad team. Like, Altmaier is like leagues above that. Orgy and Tuttle.
Was J.J. McCarthy that good?
I think he was.
It's a
Or
crazy
Harbaugh
thing.
was that good. Or the combination of them was that good.
Michigan's really good at having quarterbacks that are mid at Michigan who are really good in the NFL, apparently. I'm just trying to call JJ McCarthy mid.
He hasn't taken a snap yet.
Yeah.
All right, Dano, give out your special award.
I'm giving out the 501c3 award because man, Brock Glenn just gave that game away. He is very charitable.
Yeah.
Brock Glenn with his 2 interceptions, and I think what was the other one, a fumble or something? Anyway,
Make a wish.
he with 3 plays in a row decided there's no chance that our team's going to have in this game. We would like to give you this win.
So for those of us that aren't accountants, 501c3 is a charitable organization that doesn't have to pay taxes. Is that accurate?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
His tax loophole for his NIL deal.
Well, Danny hates it when you call things tax loopholes. Don't get him started.
All right. So have you guys ever heard of the Outland Trophy? It's a college football trophy it's a lineman trophy. I want to give out the Outpatient Trophy. This is going to Brady Cook. Did you guys catch anything that happened in the Missouri-Auburn game? You probably didn't because it was at the same time as the Miami-Louisville game. Brady Cook, quarterback at Mizzou, first possession, rolls his ankle, gets really, really injured, has to go to the hospital for an MRI. He is in the hospital, and he's in the practice facility for 2 hours. During that time, Auburn jumps out to a 17-3 lead. 4 minutes left. Somehow he's all better from that bad ankle. He comes back to construct 2 awesome touchdown drives and gets him in the position to kick a field goal. They end up winning 21-17. The dude was in the hospital. He's like, it was a long hour and a half. Is how he said it. I was like, God damn, you went to the hospital. Obviously the hospital's close, or it's probably on campus, had to spend some time. But I just think it's an amazing story that he had to leave, go to the hospital, had to come back, and then won the game for them with a 71-yard bomb to Theo East and then a 17-play drive. You know how easy it is to get injured on a 17-play drive? You're exhausted. Everyone's exhausted. you're probably tripping over offensive linemen at that point. Kudos to Brady Cook. That shit is dope. And it's probably going to get someone sued because that sounds very, very bad. The whole thing sounded bad.
That's a cool story, though.
I'm sure he signed a waiver.
Yeah. The outpatient trophy. Brady Cook, you did it, bud. Came back and won the game from the hospital.
Sounds like the plot line of Varsity Blues.
Mm-hmm. After he had his 8th concussion and was bleeding from the ear.
Did they make Paul Walker go back in?
All right, those were our awards. I got a couple questions. I know this was the mid-season. I don't know if you guys want to reflect on some of the things that we talked about where we were right or wrong from the beginning of the season. I'm going to start off with one where I was really wrong. I thought SMU was going to be bad. I straight up, I thought they were going to be bad. They're not bad. They've adjusted very well to the ACC, and for that, I was really wrong. I don't know if you guys have anything else that you feel like you need to get off your chest, but I could say that I thought Michigan was going to be bad, and that I feel good about. I feel real good about that. But I don't know if anyone has anything else they'd like to get off their chest, as this is a moment of reflection. We've hit the 6 games or 7 game mid-season. Andy, do you have anything you can think about?
I was real wrong about Florida State. I thought that DJU was going to come in and pick up, a little drop off from Jordan Travis, but not this. So yeah, I think we did a game where we played who in the top 10 preseason is still there at the end of the season, and I think I said Florida State would still be top 10. So yeah, I was pretty wrong about that. I did think Oklahoma would be bad, which has kind of been fun, but
it feels good to be right.
It does. Yes.
Al, Danny, you guys have anything you want to get off your chest? Al, you look like you're ready to go.
I don't remember what I said back then, so
Yeah, I was going to say, I have the memory of a goldfish, but I think, and now granted, I'm going to have to go back and check because I may be totally full of shit here, and this may not have ever happened. But I think when we were discussing pre-win totals, the Florida total was like 4 games, and I was like, I think they can win 5 or 6. And if that's true, I did say that, then I'm probably right.
You're the smartest man in the world. And Andy, not to toot our own horn, but we were pretty bullish on the University of Miami. While these other 2 schmucks were like, it's going to be an 8-7-5 season, 8-4. I'm like, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Matt,
I didn't think it would be another 7-5 season, but yeah.
Boy, your schedule.
And I'm pretty sure I said 9-3. 9-3 is the record that Miami always ends up with.
I'd be really happy with a 9-3 season.
Not at
when
this
your
point.
Remaining games are FSU, Duke, Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. You should not be happy with that at all.
Yeah,
Syracuse is a tough team.
Oh, I think that's the toughest game remaining on the schedule. The one around Thanksgiving, you go to Syracuse, you read your press clippings.
Could be cold.
Right, Andy, I
thought of one here a second ago. Now, so I was wrong about Utah.
Oh,
I thought
a lot of us were.
Yeah, I thought the quarterback.
I think we all thought Cam Rising was going to play.
He's dead.
I mean, he played a couple of games, but I think he's done now.
I think he might have played a couple of drives.
They weren't good when he was playing either.
No, that last game against Arizona State, that ain't Cam Rising. That was like a stunt double playing Cam Rising that didn't have hands. It was like the ball. I swear, I don't know what the velocity of footballs when they come out of quarterbacks' hands, but it felt like it was like 16 to 17 miles an hour on every throw, which feels too slow for a football to travel. I'm going to guess it's too slow. It reminds me of when my son tries to throw. And like he's little, has little hands, and the ball goes every direction, and it goes like straight up in the air and never gets there. That's how it felt watching Cam Rising the last time I watched him. He stinks.
Liam, if you're listening, I think you're great at throwing footballs.
Buddy, you're going to be great one day. You're just not there yet.
Matt, your son's got a cannon on him. I don't know what you're talking about.
I know, that's what I was going to say.
Not with the football? Okay.
He throws the
Nerf football pretty good.
The Vortex is different. Everyone throws the Vortex great.
Dude, he throws the Vortex.
You haven't seen my son throw. Let's put your son next to my son. They're very close in age, and Liam will destroy him.
Oh, one more I do want
Millie
to say.
grabs it by the tail. Millie grabs it by the tail and whips it.
I was
So-
really high on Ollie Gordon this year and Oklahoma State. That team sucks. That's a bad football team. And they can't even get – Ollie Gordon had a good game this week, but prior to that, they can't do anything with him. He's like a shell of himself. It's like Ashton Genty came through and like stole all his power like Little Mermaid. He signed a contract, and now Ollie Gordon can walk on land, but Ashton Genty has all his powers and has a beautiful voice. So
maybe karma is real, because didn't Ollie Gordon get arrested like a week before the season started?
He did indeed. I think it was a DUI.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a serious DUI. All DUIs are not to be laughed at, but it ain't like anything going on in Georgia. You know what I'm saying?
Here's something to laugh at. I haven't gone all the way back to the beginning of the season, but I bet on Oregon State to cover every week. Or Oklahoma State we're just talking about? Oklahoma State, right? I bet on them like every single week, and they haven't covered once. And I have them again this week. I'm like still going back. I got to be right eventually.
They can't continue to be that bad. I agree with you, but they are 0-4 in conference. Let's put it this way. Florida State has one conference win. So suck it, OK State. Suck it.
That's hilarious. All right. If nobody's got anything else that they were right or wrong about, we can move on to I wanted to play a little game. Found an article where the writer, I probably should have saved it and given him credit, but I didn't. So maybe I'll put it in the note. In the show notes. But he had used the Football Power Index, or whatever it's called for college football, to predict the likelihood that teams would make the playoffs. And he had 9 what he called locks, and then 15 bubble teams. And so I thought it'd be fun to go through the 9 so-called locks. I'm not going to do the quotes every time because it's going to be annoying, but we'll just call them locks. We go through the 9 locks and each pick the lock that is least likely to make it, that we think will fall out, and then pick a bubble team that we think is likely to make it to jump up into the 12. So I know, Danny, you had a lock team that you think will fall out. You want to get us kicked off?
Yeah. So I'll argue against Notre Dame. He had Notre Dame as a lock, and while they do have one cake team remaining on their schedule, the other 4 are pretty tough. So they got FSU, which, I mean, come on, that's not really much of a year for them. But
Bad football team.
Navy and Army are having legit amazing seasons, both undefeated. If one of them could take down Notre Dame, that would be enough to probably knock them out, I think. And just the amount of points that they can put up, those games could end up being a shootout with both of them having an opportunity to win. Virginia, USC, both, Virginia's having a normal Virginia year, right? They're mid, and they'll beat good teams and they'll lose to bad teams. USC, one day they might get together, but they'll probably that's probably the second easiest game left on their schedule.
So Notre Dame essentially would have to lose 2 of those, right? Because the 2-loss Notre Dame still makes the playoffs.
I think that Northern Illinois game was so damning to them; they cannot lose another game.
Not if the 2 losses are Northern Illinois and a military academy.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that one. There's one on here. I hate to say it, but I feel like if they lose one game, they're out, and it's Indiana. Indiana seems like the obvious one there. If they say they run that schedule and they play Ohio State tough, I think you have to put them in. If they're playing in the Big Ten championship game, which that would likely put them in the Big Ten championship game, or it would put them right outside, I think you have to put them in, but I feel like somehow they'll be left off the ballot. The other team I see on there that could be out would be Tennessee. I know their schedule isn't stacking up incredibly well. They got to play at Georgia, right? So that's likely a loss in all circumstances. And with the other teams that could be playing, I mean, you got a decent LSU team. You're going to have a Big 12 champion. You may have you're going to have one Group of 5 winner. I think they could be the odd person out.
I think that sounds a little crazy. I think you're spot on with Indiana, though.
Oh, I mean, Indiana feels like cheating, right? Because they're going to fuck them. They're getting fucked this year for sure. Like,
Yeah.
That's a certainty.
I feel I like Indiana for this as well. I like what Danny said about Notre Dame, but for Indiana, if you chalk up at Ohio State, loss, right? Like it's as good as Indiana's been, that's a loss. They cannot afford to stumble anywhere else, and I think they'll probably drop one somewhere. Washington, Michigan, somebody's gonna get them.
Also, these committees
they're gonna have to play Ohio
view.
State. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say the committees often view a game like that for Indiana against Ohio State as a de facto playoff game. So you lose that game, they feel entitled to leave them out of the playoff. Whereas if they were to somehow beat Ohio State, then they're in, and Ohio State's in anyway. So
if they win all their
I
other
think that
games,
makes
and they could still lose twice to Ohio State, and they're not putting a team in that lost twice to Ohio State.
If they beat Ohio State, one of those games, but they have 2 losses, and it's not the Big Ten title game, right? Because they automatically get in. I think Indiana's in. If they get that Ohio State W and they have 2 losses on their schedule, I think they're in.
Yeah, I don't know that they'll play in the Big Ten championship with a loss, like a single loss.
Yeah.
Because right now you've got Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State are all undefeated. So you need 2 of them to lose before you get in with a loss. So
they don't have leagues or whatever divisions in the Big Ten anymore, right? It's top 2 play each other.
Exactly.
Yeah. No leaders or legends.
Yep.
Unfortunately.
So for me, the lock that is not a lock is Miami. And I think it essentially boils down to one of 2 things happening. Either they drop a game against somebody they shouldn't, or they lose to Clemson and Clemson takes the lone ACC spot.
We could go 0-5
if they
the rest
both
of this game, man.
You guys are ridiculous. They're double digit. They got to be double digit favorites in all these games, right? I'm assuming they're like 14-point favorites in all these games. So if you do
maybe not at Syracuse,
maybe not at Syracuse. Okay, but the rest of them, I'm pretty sure. I think Georgia Tech could be the trickiest one if Haynes King comes back. Even if you lose to Clemson in the championship game, I think there's going to be 2 ACC teams that get in as long as you stay 2 losses or better, because the Big 12's a mess. Like, there's got to be winners from other conferences. I don't think they're only going to put in one ACC, 1 Big 12, and 1 Group of 5. I think it's going to be someone's getting a second team in, and I think you're going to see BYU and Iowa State kind of come back to normal. Now, if Colorado starts running the table and gets like all kinds of sexy love for them, that would be a different thing, because I think
Colorado already has 2 losses. They would have to actually.
I think the committee will try to find a way to put them in if they can.
Okay,
it's an invitational.
But I mean, Miami could easily lose these 5 games. It's not a joke.
Yeah, I mean, they could, but it would be highly unlikely.
All it takes is the quarterback to get hurt, and it's over. If FSU, who has a good defensive line, hurts Cam Ward, this season is over.
Well, here's the thing too. I think Andy and Matt are still picturing first 4 games of the season Miami, and not last 3 games of the season Miami, where we've won by a collective 12 points in 3 games and given up 120 points.
You won by being undefeated in last 2-minute booth reviews. That's how you won those last.
I'm not sure how many more of those we got up the sleeve.
Oh, there's plenty of money.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's money, but
they make the right play.
There's always money in the banana stand.
What if we've spent too much on the refs and Cam's check doesn't clear and he just decides not to play?
Yeah, that could be. All right, so I realized that I should have started this off by reading out the locks. So I'll do that now. Too little, too late. They had Georgia, Oregon, Miami, Texas, Ohio State, Penn State, Tennessee, Indiana, Notre Dame. I'm going to go with Penn State, just because it feels like the most Penn State thing to happen. There are 4 Big Ten teams on this lock list. That Penn State has to play Ohio State, which probably a loss, and then you've got Wisconsin, Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, Maryland. I see them tripping up in there somewhere. But Penn State has to play Ohio State, which probably a loss. And then you've got Wisconsin, Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, Maryland. I see them tripping up in there somewhere. 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 up until the fourth
At
quarter, like
Minnesota.
they could have lost to Illinois.
It's not the Vikings, bud. It's not the Vikings.
Okay, it's PJ Fleck.
They almost lost to
Rob
USC
Corddry.
at home in a bad year for USC. I think Penn State will trip up in here somewhere. They're not going to make the Big Ten championship. That'll be Oregon, Ohio State, and Penn State gets left out, and James Franklin somehow gets a huge raise. That's
He
my
always
prediction.
I
does.
understand this. I understand this USC's having a bad year narrative, but they beat LSU and Wisconsin. Those are real teams. These aren't bad years. These are just teams are not playing as many cupcakes as they used to because all the big schools are in the same conferences now and they're playing each other more.
Yeah,
That's
that
why
Maryland
Miami looks
game-
so good when we've played a bunch of cupcakes.
Well,
To be fair, USC has kind of lost games the way Miami has won games. They've lost on like the last minute or last possession, like 3 straight weeks. That game at Maryland was like 29-28, and Billy Edwards for Maryland had to do like miraculous things to win. Right? So you do have a good point. Like USC is like not that far from being a good team.
Andy, so in that scenario, do you have obviously Indiana making the playoffs then, and 3 Big Ten teams making it, or only 2 Big Ten teams getting in?
That's a good question. I think
That
Penn
feels
State
wrong,
and
right?
Indiana drop out, and Illinois sneaks in. No,
Oh,
kidding. I'm kidding. I do
Oh,
hate the
that's fun. I like
disrespect, though. That's...
No, actually, Andy, you bring up a good point because this list has 9 locks and 15 bubble teams, which if you add that up is 24, which is essentially just the top 25, except for what team is missing?
There is a team missing there, isn't there? Let me think. Let me think. Bastards.
Yeah, Illinois is absent from this list. This guy has it out for you.
He really does. No, he's just right. We're running a little long here. Let's go through this real quick. Bubble teams, they've got 15. I'll read them all, and then everybody just give me one that you think for sure makes it. Washington State, UNLV, Army, Missouri, Ole Miss, Pitt, Kansas State, Bama, SMU, LSU, Texas A&M, Boise State, Iowa State, BYU, Clemson. Al, you got one? Or Matt, go ahead if you're ready.
Kansas State and Boise State. I'll give you those 2. But one of them has to get in from either side. So those would be the 2 I choose.
Nice.
Yeah, so for me, one of these teams is not like the others. Like, it's Bama. Bama's going to win out. They're going to make the playoff. Like, it's happening. Another one would be Clemson. I think they've got a shot to get in as well. And then I really want Boise State to get in. That's more just like preference. But they're legit. They belong. And they're one of the top 12 teams in the country.
Yeah.
Well, I
mean, if you're
actually
saying
already
Miami's gonna
know-
drop out, you've got to say Clemson goes in.
I actually already
Go ahead,
know
Dan.
which teams are going to get in. I already know which teams are going to get in. It's
Oh,
very
okay.
simple here. Yeah. It will be Missouri, Ole Miss, Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M.
What do those teams have in common?
Oh, you forgot Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's
Oh.
going to get in.
They're not on the bubble list.
Oh no, they're in the SEC though. All of them are in.
Yeah, they're all in. It's just the SEC playoff is what we're.
I like all the ones you said. Boise State, I really hope they make it. I like Clemson to make it. I would throw BYU out there. Or BYU. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, you are.
Their quarterback is selling merch because he is a member of the tribe. I don't think we can ignore them anymore. And their remaining games are UCF, Utah, Kansas, Arizona State, Houston. Right? Like, it's hard to see 2 losses on that list for me. It's certainly not 3. So BYU is the one I'll throw out there.
Is this going to be the year where, like, I mean, I don't know, it's not, but there are going to be a million 1-loss teams by the way things are like expected to shake out. So there's going to be some serious upsets coming soon because normally you have a hard time finding a half dozen undefeated or 1-loss teams in college football by the end of the season. And it's shaping up to be like 20 deep, you know?
No, buddy, it'll be a lot of 2-loss teams. I think there will be a lot of. I think you're right. I don't think there will be very many 0-loss teams. I kind of think there will be none come season's end, right? So
Well, that's fun.
I can see Oregon losing a game. I don't think that's a crazy thing. has everyone been defeated in the SEC? So just Oregon, right? Oregon's
so.
like the lone undefeated team left.
Or Oregon, Penn State,
And
Miami,
BYU.
Iowa State, BYU, Indiana,
Ohio
Okay.
State.
and Army.
They lost to
Navy.
Oregon.
Oh yeah. Good call.
So I don't think it's crazy. I think there's going to be a couple one-loss teams and a whole shit ton of two-loss teams.
Yeah.
And
That's good
upsets
for the
are happening
committee because then they
at a
go,
great
oh,
rate.
don't lose 2 games if you want to get in. Like, no sweat. They pick whoever they want.
It's going to be fun. Well,
Yeah.
that was the Week 8 review. We got the Week 9 preview coming up. Make sure you listen to that. And before you do anything, go to singlelegparlay.com. Join in the fun. Join in the betting action that we got going on there. Hit the subscribe button. Put your email address in there. Let us slide money directly into your inbox, all right? For Andy, for Matt, for Danny, for Al, thank you all. We love you. Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the newly rebranded Single Leg Parlay podcast. Visit our website at www.singlelegparlay.com, where you can read more of our thoughts as well as subscribing to our newsletter to have our picks delivered straight to your inbox each week. And don't forget to follow Single Leg Parlay on all of your favorite social media platforms. Cheers!